The package sat on the porch. It was wrapped in plain brown paper, the string tightly wound. No return address, no name, just the heavy weight of the unknown.
What could this be?
Sarah, her curiosity piqued, carried it inside. The house was quiet. John was still at work, the children at school. She set the package on the kitchen table, the wood cool beneath her fingertips. Sarah grabbed a knife from the drawer. The blade glinted as she sliced through the string. She peeled back the paper, revealing a vase. It was ancient, crafted from dark, smooth wood. Intricate carvings snaked across its surface.
Wow, this is something else.
Sarah shivered. Something about the vase unsettled her. Sarah couldn't stop looking at the vase. It drew her in, a dark and mesmerizing presence. She found herself rearranging furniture, finding the perfect spot for it.
It's just a beautiful object, a conversation piece.
But deep down, a seed of unease had been planted. She spent the afternoon researching antique vases, her fingers flying across the keyboard. She found nothing like it. The carvings were unique, the wood unfamiliar. Frustration gave way to a strange sense of possessiveness. This vase, this treasure was hers. It had chosen her.
Hey, that's an impressive piece. Where did you find it?
I don't like it. It feels weird.
It's watching us.
Sarah laughed it off, but their reactions did little to ease her growing unease. The whispers started subtly, a rustling sound like dry leaves skittering across the floor, a soft sigh barely audible. Sarah would wake in the night, her heart pounding. The house seemed to creak and groan more than usual. Shadows danced in the corners of her vision. She blamed it on the old house, on her imagination. But fear, like a creeping vine, began to take root in her mind. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to slither around the edges of her thoughts, cold and insidious.
It's just my imagination, just the old house.
Her sleep became troubled, plagued by nightmares. The vase, a looming presence in her dreams, pulsed with a malevolent light. She would wake in a cold sweat, the whispers still echoing in her ears. One night she woke to a blood-curdling scream.
The vase, it spoke to me.
John dismissed it as a nightmare, but Sarah knew the truth. The change in John was gradual at first. He became withdrawn, his easy laughter replaced by a brooding silence. He snapped at the children, his temper flaring at the slightest provocation.
It's just a cold, nothing to worry about.
But Sarah saw the truth in his eyes. Ethan, once a cheerful and energetic child, retreated into himself. He refused to leave his room, his meals left untouched.
Ethan, sweetie, please come out. What's wrong?
When Sarah tried to coax him out, he would flinch away. His eyes filled with a terror she couldn't comprehend. Lily, the youngest and most vulnerable, became the vase's plaything.
Look, Mommy, I drew a picture of the vase.
She began to draw strange pictures, spirals and serpents intertwined. The family was falling apart, consumed by the shadows that emanated from the vase. And Sarah, helpless to stop it, could only watch as the darkness tightened its grip. Driven by a desperate hope, Sarah delved deeper into her research. She scoured online archives, poring over ancient texts. Finally, in a dusty volume on forgotten rituals, she found it. It spoke of a vase carved from the wood of a forbidden tree, imbued with the power to trap souls.
That night, as my family slept, I crept downstairs. The vase seemed to pulsate in the darkness, a beacon of evil. Fear warred with a desperate need for answers.
The whispers intensified, swirling around her like a vortex. Taking a deep breath, she began to chant. The air crackled with energy.
The vase shuddered. The serpent carvings writhed, their eyes gleaming with an unnatural light.
The inscription, a single chilling word, confirmed Sarah's worst fears. The vase wasn't just cursed, it was a prison, a vessel containing the trapped souls of those who had come before, and her family were slowly becoming its next victims.
I tried everything I could think of. I attempted to destroy the vase, but it remained impervious to my attacks.
John was now a shadow of his former self, his body racked with coughs, his eyes vacant and hollow. Ethan had retreated entirely into silence, his pale face peering out from his room like a ghost. And Lily, her voice now a chilling monotone, spoke of things no child her age should know. They were slipping away from her, their souls being slowly devoured by the insatiable hunger of the vase. The realization hit Sarah like a physical blow. The inscription, the word sacrifice, echoed in her mind. It wasn't enough to simply try to destroy the vase or give it away. It demanded a price, a soul for a soul, her family for hers.
The whispers intensified, no longer menacing but coaxing, seductive. They promised me peace, an end to the torment. All I had to do was surrender.
The struggle was agonizing. Love for her family warred with the insidious whispers that promised a chilling salvation. In the end, it was the sight of Lily, her sweet daughter, her eyes vacant and cold, that tipped the scales. She couldn't let them suffer any longer. She would make the sacrifice. She would become the monster. The whispers urged her to leave, to drive away and never look back. But a morbid fascination held her captive. She had to see it through. The world outside Sarah's window blurred into an unfamiliar landscape. She gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white, her mind awash in a chaotic symphony of whispers. They were no longer her own thoughts, but a chorus of voices, ancient and hungry, echoing through her. They guided her, urged her onward towards a new family, a new home, a new sacrifice.
I have no memory of packing, of saying goodbye. Yet here I am, the cursed vase nestled in the passenger seat beside me.
The whispers had shown her the way, a picture-perfect house on a quiet, tree-lined street, a family oblivious to the horror that was about to befall them.
A wave of nausea washed over me. I felt a flicker of my old self, a spark of horror at the thought of what I was about to do. But it was quickly extinguished by the overwhelming tide of whispers. It was necessary, they insisted. The cycle must continue. An endless chain of suffering, fueled by the insatiable hunger of the vase.
The house stood before her, bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun. It looked like something out of a magazine, all manicured lawns and flower boxes overflowing with blooms. Sarah could almost hear the laughter of children playing inside, the comforting aroma of dinner wafting from the kitchen. The illusion of normalcy was almost enough to make her turn back, to flee from the terrible fate that awaited them. Almost.
But the whispers were relentless, their hold on my mind absolute.
She parked the car across the street, her gaze fixed on the front door. It wouldn't be long now. Soon, curiosity or perhaps fate would lead them to the package on their doorstep, and the cycle would begin anew.
I watched as a woman, her hair the colour of sunshine, bent down to pick up the package.
The days that followed were a blur of distorted memories and chilling echoes. Sarah found herself drawn back to the house on Ashwood, an unseen observer lurking in the shadows. She watched as the family, the Millers, welcomed the vase into their home, their initial delight mirroring her own. She saw the fear begin to creep into their eyes, their smiles faltering, their laughter fading.
The whispers in my mind taunted me, replaying scenes from my own descent into madness.
She was a prisoner in her own body, forced to watch as history repeated itself. The guilt was a gnawing ache in her chest, a constant reminder of the horror she had unleashed. But the whispers offered no solace, no forgiveness. They were cold and indifferent, their only concern the perpetuation of the cycle. She was nothing more than a vessel, a conduit for their dark purpose. Time lost all meaning as Sarah drifted, a ghost tethered to the cursed vase. She watched the Millers succumb to the same despair that had consumed her own family. The vase, once an object of beauty, now pulsed with a malevolent life of its own.
I bore witness to the final, heartbreaking act. One moment, Mrs. Miller was a shell of her former self. The next, her eyes gleamed with a chilling light. The whispers in Sarah's mind faded, replaced by a deafening silence. She was free. She was left with the chilling knowledge that the cycle would continue.